Welcome to my views and news. Important news story. Deadline has been announced for surrendering of heavy weapons by Tigray fighters. Who announced this deadline? Or you can say the deadline was agreed by the parties. Now it has been made public. And deadline for ENDF's entry in Mekelle as well has been made public by Ridwan Hussein, Ethiopian National Security Advisor. And secondly, from tomorrow, Ethiopian Airlines is going to start flights, direct flights to Mekelle from Addis Ababa. And thirdly, was Jeffery Feltman, former US Special Envoy to the Horn of Africa, has written an article about Tigray war, about Eritrean role in this war, about implementation of peace deal. And in his article, he claimed that Isaias Afwerki was contemptuous of his own citizens, of Eritreans. And secondly, he talked about Eritrean role in the implementation of the deal. Can PM Abiy manage Eritrean president regarding the withdrawal of Eritrean military? Which policy should US and others adopt to curtail rising influence of Eritrea and the Horn of Africa? We have details for you. Firstly, viewers, yesterday top Ethiopian federal delegation was in Mekelle, led by Tagas Achafo, the speaker. Ministers were part of the delegation to Tigray, warmly welcomed Ethiopian ministers, members of the delegation, and after that, this delegation returned to Addis Ababa and briefed PM Abiy. Ridwan Hussein, National Security Advisor, in a message just a few minutes ago said that the delegation had returned and it debriefed the PM about the visit, and then PM directed Ethiopian authorities, Ethiopian departments to intensify their efforts regarding resumption of basic services in Tigray. And he disclosed that Thursday, 27th of December is the deadline for surrendering of heavy weapons. So by Thursday, 27th of December, Tigray fighters are bound to surrender their heavy weapons. And by Thursday, 27th of December, Ethiopian National Defense Force must enter Mekelle. This understanding was reached in talks held in Nairobi. Talks held around a week ago. Second round of talks held in Nairobi. It was held, I think, a week ago. And there the two parties agreed. Now, it has been made public by Ridwan Hussein that by Thursday, the two developments must happen. TPLF must surrender all its heavy weapons. Tigray fighters, not TPLF, and that ENDF must enter Mekelle peacefully too. So coming 2 days, very crucial. We saw yesterday very warm welcome from Tigray side for this delegation from Addis Ababa. And Debretsion Gabriel Mekelle, Tigray president, extended a message of thanks through this delegation to Ethiopian PM Abiy. Gata Choreda was seen as well with this delegation. He welcomed the delegation on Mekelle airport. So it seems that a new era of peace and stability, at least between Tigray regional government and Ethiopian federal government, is starting. But two important developments in coming days, 2 days, Wednesday and Thursday. Will TPLF surrender all heavy weapons by Thursday? And surrendering of heavy weapons was linked to withdrawal of Eritrean army and Amhara forces from Tigray. That is what the two parties agreed on in Nairobi talks held in November last year. So if TPLF is going to surrender its heavy weapons to Ethiopian National Defense Force by Thursday, it means that Amhara forces or Ethiopian or Eritrean military, Amhara forces and Eritrean military, they have largely withdrawn from areas of Tigray. So coming 2 days are very crucial. We'll try to update you about these two key developments going to happen in the next 2 days. Secondly, Ethiopian Airlines is going to resume flights rather, direct flights to Mekelle from tomorrow. Ridwan Hussain in his message said that PM Abiy briefed, that when PM Abiy was briefed, he directed Ethiopian departments to expedite resumption of basic services. That is why Ethiopian Airlines is going to start direct flights to Mekelle from tomorrow. So first direct flight from Addis Ababa to Mekelle will take off tomorrow from Addis Ababa. 3,445 Ethiopian birds is the price of a one-way ticket from Addis Ababa to Mekelle. One flight a day, number of flights could be increased in the coming days. Lastly, viewers, very important news story is about an article written by Jeffery Feltman, former US Special Envoy to the Horn of Africa. He served as US Special Envoy last year when Joe Biden took office. After that, he appointed Jeffery Feltman as US Special Envoy. I think it was February or March last year, and the fighting was in Tigray back then. In June last year, EDF withdrew from Tigray, but in July, Tigray forces attacked Amhara far regions, and then fighting went on till November, December, and then Tigray forces withdrew from Amhara far regions in November last year. So Jeffery Feltman remained as Special Envoy for almost 9 months, I think, last year. So he knows what happened in Ethiopia last year. Now he has shared his analysis of the situation of the peace deal as well. Firstly, he said, ethnic cleansing was committed in Ethiopia. Amhara regional government, Ethiopian federal government, Afar regional government, they deliberately blocked supplies of food, supplies of medical aid to Tigray. All parties involved in human rights abuses. Peace deal signed because Ethiopian federal government had a military leverage. But main party has not welcomed this peace deal, and that is Eritrea. Eritrean president is silent, Eritrean government is silent about the implementation, about this deal. PM Abiy assured Americans that he can manage Eritreans regarding the withdrawal of Eritrean military from Tigray. But Eritrean president, Eritrean government, they have struck an alliance with hardliner Amharas. Both share their hatred for Tigrayans. This is the word used by Jeffery Feltman, hatred. That Eritrean government, Amhara hardliners, they hate Tigrayans. And he also claimed, he claimed that Isaias Afwerki is contemptuous of his own citizens, which I don't agree with. Yes, human rights situation in Eritrea is very poor. People are definitely suffering. People are trying to flee the country. No freedom of expression, several issues, economic issues too. But it would be exaggeration to say that Isaias Afwerki hates Eritreans. And then he talked about the implementation of the peace. He said that Eritrea is not welcoming the peace deal. It will try to retain its ability to interfere in Tigray in the form of some sort of presence in or near Tigray, and that Isaias Afwerki will try to keep Ethiopia weak because he wants to be the king of Horn of Africa. He keeps on interfering in Ethiopia, in Somalia, Djibouti, Sudan. He wants to be the man in charge in the Horn of Africa. So that is why, through his Amhara allies, he'll keep on interfering in Eritrea, in Ethiopia, sorry. And what is the solution? Jeffery Feltman says that the issues in Ethiopia, in the Horn of Africa, should be resolved. Because through these issues, Eritrea intervenes. So that is why Egypt, Ethiopia, Sudan, Ethiopia, issues like GERD, Ethiopian internal issues, implementation of peace deal, it should be backed, supported by Western powers and US. That is the only way to curtail Isaias Afwerki's influence in the Horn of Africa. Sanctions won't work, restrictions won't work, but Eritrean Red Sea Trading Corporation, which is the main organization in Eritrea, it has its headquarters in the UAE. So UAE can be used to influence Eritrean government. Overall, Jeffery Feltman is not very optimistic about implementation of the peace deal. He said Eritrea could spoil it. And he raised some points and he shared his concerns about possible disintegration of Ethiopia too. There are other issues in Ethiopian other regions like in Oromia and BG. That is why if there is no dialogue involving all players in Ethiopia, things could move towards disintegration of Ethiopia. That is what he said. This is an American's analysis of this conflict. Firstly, I don't agree with Jeffery Feltman that Isaias hates Eritreans. Secondly, I don't think that Ethiopia is going to disintegrate. No. Still, the country is not in a position to disintegrate. There are issues, but we cannot say that it is heading towards disintegration. Thirdly, Eritrean role, that it will try to spoil this deal. I think Eritrea wants a disarmament of Tigray fighters. If Tigray fighters are disarmed, Eritrea would be satisfied with this outcome. Disarmament would have been difficult to achieve on the battlefield, which Eritrea has achieved through Ethiopia at the table. I don't think Eritrea is trying to undermine this deal. Eritrea only wants implementation of the deal, and that is complete disarmament of Tigray forces. If Tigray forces can be disarmed, according to the agreement, Eritrea would be satisfied. And as regards Eritrean influence in the Horn of Africa, countries have their issues. And the countries provide Eritrea with opportunity. And sometimes they invite Eritrea. Yes, Eritrea has been interfering in countries, but who invited Eritrea in Ethiopia? PM Abiy's government. Who asked Isaias Afwerki to train Somalia's troops? Somalia's government. Now he has influence in Somalia. Why? Because he's training thousands of Somalia soldiers. Sudan, though there his intervention is uninvited, and in Eastern Sudan, he's not. He has some influence there, but he is not welcome in Khartoum. Khartoum rejected his mediation. Eritrean mediation between military and protesters there. So the countries should resolve their issues. When there are issues, Eritrean government intervenes, especially in border areas. Tigray shares border with Eritrea, Eastern Sudan as well. An interesting point is that now, because of the fear of Isaias Afwerki, US wants to resolve issues in the Horn of Africa. Because if there are issues, Isaias Afwerki will exploit the issues. So good news for the people of Horn of Africa that Ethiopians in Sudan, in Somalia, US and Western power will invest They'll invest, they'll try to have their presence to curtail Eritrean influence in the Horn of Africa. Thank you for watching.